Hey, seriously, is this safe, driving to Baghdad?
Yes, very safe. 50-50.
50-50, what, like 50% we live, 50% we die?
Yes, that's why we drive through night. It's much safer.
Well, that is a clip from War Dogs, the new film from the Hangover director Todd Phillips. Miles Teller, Jonah Hill there, teaming up to become international arms dealers in a comic dramedy. Dramedy really hitting theaters this weekend. Here in studio, film critic Richard Krause. Dramedy?
It's a dramedy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a dramedy. It
And?
is a message movie with a lot of laughs and a little bit of drama. So that's what you have here. The big hurdle that War Dogs has to get over is that its two main characters are really unlikable. They are scumbags. They are 20-somethings who decide to get into the arms business and eventually end up bending the rules almost until they snap to get a $300 or $300 million contract with the U.S. government. Miles Teller plays the more likable of the two, and we see most of the movie through his eyes. And both of these guys are based on real-life people who actually did most of the stuff that happens in this movie. So Miles Teller is the more likable. He's our gateway into the story. We see most everything that happens through his eyes. It's Jonah Hill as Ephraim Diveroli, who is the completely unlikable one. He is a self-described ugly American in the movie. He talks about that a great deal. He's a Scarface aficionado who kind of lives and breathes that kind of grandiose scumbaggery that we see on that movie. And so if we're not on side with him, we're not going to like this movie. Luckily, Hill is so charismatic and so interesting in this that he keeps the rest of the movie really interesting. So for me, it's about a 3 out of 5 stars.
3 out of 5 stars. Okay, for War Dog. All right, okay, and what else do you have? You have something else called Hell or High Water.
This is one of the best movies of the year, and it's cursed with a name that doesn't really mean anything. It's not a real grabber. It's an old saying, I guess, come hell or high water. I hope people look past a kind of generic name and look and see what this movie really is. It's Chris Pine and Ben Foster as brothers in the recent past in West Texas, and they decide to rob banks, the Texas Midland banks, a whole series of them, to get revenge with the banks for lending their mother just enough money to keep her in debt for the rest of her life and then trying to foreclose on her land. Oh. They are chased by a cop played by Jeff Bridges, and Jeff Bridges, I don't know if there's a more comfortable presence on screen, but Jeff Bridges is certainly now into like the Spencer Tracy phase of his career, where he just makes it look so easy, but he's just a joy to watch. This is a 4 out of 5 star movie for me.
Okay, Hell or High Water, good stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and you also have Kubo
and the Two Strings.
Right.
Again, one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. This is a stop-motion animation film that is based on a new story, but it's made to look like an old Japanese myth about a young boy who has some mystical powers. He plays a little guitar sort of instrument that makes his origami creatures come to life, and he plays for money in the street until one day his past kind of catches up with him in the form of an evil grandfather who's been trying to hunt him down, and he has to go on a quest to find a suit of armor. Sounds a little bit complicated. It's not. It's beautiful. It's stop-motion animation, which to me always feels much more soulful, feels much more interesting than computer-generated animation, because you can actually feel the work that goes into it. This movie was made one frame at a time by moving all these characters and the backdrops and everything one little bit at a time to piece it all together. It's from the same people that gave us Coraline, Paranorman, and Box Trolls. All three are winners. It's a company called Leica, and they are becoming the new Pixar for me.
4 stars.
So this is 4 out of 5.
And just quickly, Ben-Hur, The Pits.
Ben-Hur, Ben-Hur, this movie, they've changed it up a little bit. It's not all about revenge, it's about forgiveness now, but honestly, it's hard to forgive some of the filmmaking on display here. So it's a 1 out of 5 star movie for me.
You weren't gripped by these.
Well, the chariot race is the thing that you go see in the Ben-Hur movies. There's been a bunch of these. There's been 5 or 6 Ben-Hur movies made. The chariot race is always the centerpiece of them. And this one is okay, but still, go back to 1959 to the Charlton Heston version, and you'll see the classic.
1 star for Ben-Hur.
star.
Ouch. Okay. Thanks, Richard, for this.
Thanks, Don.